Have you ever wondered what separates man from the beast? It is the fact that we can read and write. Well, this leads us to the importance of books. Books are quite important for our daily lives. A person who doesn't read books will have no clear direction in front of him. Books open our minds in more ways than one. They teach us what life is about. They also put us in someone else's shoes and let us see life from their perspective. But the main problem with the books is that finding a good book is quite rare these days. So, here is a list of top 10 books you must read before you die. Number 10, Pride and Prejudice. The opening line of the novel is quite catchy, and the lines are as follows. It is truthful that a man in possession of a good fortune is in need of a good wife. This sentence is one of the most recognizable and most popular first lines of fiction. Having said this, most of Jane Austen's work is concentrated on the marriage market and the manners of moving through polite society. Pride and Prejudice is considered as one of the masterpiece works of literature, mainly because we find such rewarding pleasure in comparing the works of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. Readers will come to like the novel very much because Jane Austen captures the essence of human character and beauty in her novel. This novel is about the ups and downs in life, the difference of caste and class in a society, and how to laugh at life when it is treating you unfairly. This novel is sure to give you a roller coaster ride of emotional experience. Number 9, Little Women. This is a richly little novel having a cast of memorable characters. This book gives you insight into a calm and comfortable family of the 19th century. The interesting thing about this novel is that every person can find someone with whom he or she can relate and who resonates with their own temperament, whether it's Joe's temper, Amy's mischievousness, or Beth's shyness. The novel is a coming of age story which follows three sisters from childhood to womanhood during the Civil War. Living together, these sisters learn about the harsh realities of life like poverty, death, and illness, and how to live all through this together. This novel is a heartwarming story about the importance of family and home comfort of never feeling loneliness. Number 8, War and Peace. This is a quite classic novel which has been called by many experts and novelists as simply the greatest books of all time. It is a feast you're gonna enjoy. The novel is set in the 19th century in which Leo Tolstoy tells the story of Russian aristocrats as they face invasion by Napoleon's army. The book is a masterpiece in describing the conflict of human nature and the culture. The novel hinges on the point that how can a person keep his morals intact in the cruel and the evil world. This is one of the few books you live rather than just die. So you should definitely give it a go and know what the fuse is all about. The next on my list is The Vanity Fair. Charles Dickens was arguably the king of the literary London in 19th century, but other writers were his arch rivals. William Makepeace Thackeray was one of the Dickens contemporaries and was determined to outdo Dickens In his determination, he produced a storming story of British life. Thackeray developed the story of a stunning heroine named the book Vanity Fair, where on one hand Dickens was a writer of a wide scope and a big heart. Thackeray was a colder and a cruel to his approach. Vanity Fair is basically the story of Becky Sharp, who uses her looks and the charms to capture men and gain as much fortune as possible. It's a satire on the British society and exposes the hypocrisies of upper classes of the society. Number 6 on my list is Misery. This book is one of the masterpieces of the great English author Stephen King. People mostly have a view that Stephen requires supernatural happenings to get the attention of the readers. However, this book is one notable exception. There are no evil spirits or crazy burial grounds in the novel. The story begins with a successful author who loses his control on the car on a difficult mountain pass. The author feels lost, and until alone, a good local Samaritan comes to his rescue. He becomes quite relieved when he comes to know that his savior is a nurse and a big fan of his work. Well, that's all you will get. Rest assured, it's a quite chilly tale of human obsession and undying will to survive. Number 5. The Outsiders. This novel was written by S.E. Hinton when she was only 16 years, mainly because she was tired of reading fluffy romance novels. She wanted a story which told about the harsh realities of the life of a teenager, and since she was were non-existent, she decided to pen it herself. This story is a multiple award-winning novel and told from the perspective to orphan boys who try to survive in the streets of an Oklahoma town between all the violence and peer pressure. This novel gives us a reminder that growing up is never easy and that love, friendship, and the love know no boundaries. Number 4 is Crime and Punishment. There are just a handful of novels which have been liked and adored as the novel Crime and Punishment. It was written by the legendary Russian novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky, who has been hailed as a great novel writer by Sigmund Freud, Einstein, and many others. The novel is an intense tale of a young student who considered himself extraordinary and separates himself from the normal rules of the society. These kinds of morals lead him to kill an ordinary person and take all his money. He butchered the victim with an axe. Later, he is filled with guilt and remorse, and the detectives keep on closing in on him. This novel is definitely a mindfull, so you should give it a try. Number 3. The Catcher in the Rye. If you want to hear about me, the first thing you should know is how I was born and what my childhood was like and what my parents were like and how they were occupied by themselves and all that crap. This is the beginning of the epic novel by J.D. Salinger's modern take on coming of the age story. The story brilliantly describes the disillusionment felt by adolescents in the 1950s through his main character, Holden Caulfield, when he tells about the adventure of New York City over 2 days while running away from home. The next I have Great Expectations. If you want to read some of Charles Dickens' best work, you should go for this novel, Great Expectations, because it is regarded by many people as his greatest work. The story is about Pip, who escapes the miserable upbringing to get the love of a girl who is of a high-class family named Estella. The novel tells us about the hardships Pip has to face to have relations with Stella. The story shows you that sometimes expectations are very different from reality, featuring some of the memorable characters like escaped convict, marriage to the bride Miss Havisham. The story tells us about the real cost of misguided social advancement.
Number 1, I have Dracula. This book tops a list for one simple reason, and that is that Dracula has become one of the most well-known books of all time. Bram Stoker's novel introduced the world to Dracula, which has been depicted in myriad of series, TV series, movies, cartoons, video games, and so much more. However, the book offers much more than a simple story of sucking blood. It is a story of Victorian morality and sexuality. Dracula is shown as a tempter who seduces innocent women and sucks their blood. A gang of waistcoated heroes attempts to capture the monster to their avail. Dracula remains to this day and one of the original horror stories, and tells us about the vampire who started it all.
So that's all from my side, guys. Thanks for watching